Marilyn, welcome to our podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, I'm Marilyn Robinson, and I thank you so much for letting me join you today. I live in California. Normally it's sunny, but today it's kind of raining. I have had a very, very full life, and I was raised in LA, but then moved to Northern California after my parents were killed in an airplane accident. And that was my first lesson in life. My first lesson in life was that good things come out of bad things. And so though I moved to California, Northern California, without my parents, I was blessed to move in with my sister, my oldest sister. And the thing that helped me cope was that I had a change in scenery, and I learned to love the outdoors. And so I got to learn how to camp and hike and all those things that I wouldn't have done in suburbia LA. So there was a lot of good things that came out of that bad thing. And I learned that at a very young age of 10. And that's been my mode of operation through life, is to look for the good in everything that happens. There's a lesson there. You just have to look for it. And going on from that, I did the traditional thing of, hey, go to college, worked my way through retail and fast food joints to get to college, and got my degree in computer science, only to find out that, oh my gosh, I hate programming. So what did I do? I just got a degree in something that I can't stand. Well, again, looking at it, I was fortunate to have a job programming, which told me that I didn't want to be a programmer. But I also in that job had the opportunity to demonstrate the product and to help customers implement the product. So the lesson that I learned was I needed to be in sales or sales support. So when I went to interview for companies out of college, I already knew that I needed to go that route. I didn't have to take a job and learn it. So that was a blessing. So I got my first job at Intel, and that was awesome. Had a great experience there, worked there over 20 years, was able to go ahead and work in a variety of different departments: sales, customer service, marketing, international sales, all kinds of training throughout that. So it was a wonderful experience, got to travel the world on Intel's buck, but it got to the point where it no longer was rewarding. And so I did meet my husband there, and we have 3 wonderful children. They all have their college degrees paid for, and they are now on their own, and they have their partners, and they're having success in life. So my husband and I decided to quit Intel, and we did spend some years teaching the kids, homeschooling them. And we did that with travel. So when we were studying the Mayan ruins, we went down to Cancun and got to, actually, kids didn't really care to do homework while they traveled, but they did it anyway. So to move on, we went ahead and we got involved in a lot of nonprofit work and servicing the community, which was very rewarding, giving back. And now I am a life coach. And so I'm sharing a lot of my life experiences with people and helping them to have a good quality life and figure out what it is that actually is their passion, as well as what brings them joy.
My name is Dan. It's a pleasure to meet you and get to know you as we ask you questions and you answer them. So you probably know this, and if you don't, I'll tell you. So Ivy and I are also coaches, so we already can bond over that. We're all out to help people live their best life, and so we believe in the course of inviting you on here tonight, you bring to us a unique story. Obviously, that's a very sad story about your parents, but it sounds like you've learned a lot from that, and you have, your life has been impacted by that, and you've taken something that would be a significant challenge and a major obstacle, and you've overcome it and made an incredible life out of it. So we applaud you for that. We think that alone is an incredible story and worth having you on here today. And so let us get started with our first question. And please understand, our questions are all, they might seem like they're all over the map, but they have one purpose, and it's to help people live their best life, right? And so they may live their best life because of something you say. And you may have said it for the first time they've ever heard it, or they may have heard it 5 times, but you say it and they connect with you different than anyone else who said it before. So the first question is, if I was a genie and I could grant you just one wish, what would be that wish and why? Couple rules: you can't wish for more wishes. You can't wish to become the genie. So what would be the wish I could grant you?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I would love to kill off this COVID virus. I just want it to go away. I want it to die. Therefore, if it went away completely, we would save a lot of lives going forward. All the people that are current, there's still a lot of people that can be infected with it. And, life, I've learned a lot through COVID, being restricted to be at home in the beginning actually opened the doors for me to really find my true passion and to really get rid of all the fluff that was going on in my life, things that I was doing because people thought I should be doing them. It really did open up a lot of opportunity for me. But going forward, we're struggling a lot, and that would be my wish: is to I don't want a solution. I want it to go away. Kill it.
I agree with you. I can't stand, well, it has changed the way we live life. It's changed how we relate to people just because of the distancing and stuff. And I'm so not for that, because myself likes to connect with other people and see people in person. So I understand, and I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
Who in your life has made the most influence in you?
Well, I would have to say that's my sister. She was the oldest. She was 16 years older than me. And when my parents died, she was 26. And she was married to a very wonderful man that was very family oriented. And so they took 3 of us in. I was 10, my sister was 13, and my other sister was 15. So for a 26-year-old who was pregnant with her first child, to be able to take 3 ornery teenagers into the home was a great blessing. And she has been my mother, and I've learned a lot from her, what to do and not to do also. But again, she introduced me to a lot of wonderful things that I've passed on to my kids too. So she's the first one. I would probably say my husband, because Kurt, there's not a lot of people that can keep up with me. And so finding somebody who can keep my pace was very challenging. And he definitely does that. When we first got married, we would do 3 things a day. We'd get up in the morning and go water skiing, then we'd go for a bike ride, then, we'd end the day either out to dinner or we'd be frisbee golfing. So he, keeping up with him has kept me moving, kept me going. And we're blessed, again, that we both love the outdoors and we love water. And there's a lot that we have in common and do in common.
Marilyn, one of my favorite movies is Back to the Future, and obviously they have a time machine. So if I could give you access to that time machine and then you could travel back and visit your younger self, what advice would you give your younger self?
Well, the first thing is that nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect, and everybody struggles. When I go back, the thing I picture is high school. You see all those people at high school, and they're so perfect and they are so connected, and everybody wants to be their friends. Well, it was interesting because I'm going to age myself here. Our 60th high school reunion, I got to work with some of my friends from high school on it, and we got very close again. And I found out that they weren't so perfect, and that they were struggling with a lot of personal conflict and growth, just as I was in high school. And I feel bad that kids can't be genuine and they can't be open with each other because they're too worried about what others are going to say or how they are going to use that information. So at least being aware and being there for other people at that young age, I think would have been a great impact. I kind of reclused a little and didn't necessarily help as many people as I possibly could back then. So just realizing that everybody struggles.
I agree with you about nobody's perfect. Everybody does struggle. But the beauty of it is what you learn from it, the life lessons. What is a belief or habit that have stuck with you and made you the person that you are today?
Well, I think I mentioned it already. Is that there's always something good even in the bad. And so if you look, it's the same thing. I don't believe in failure. I believe in lessons. And if you take the time to step back and look at, what it is that, has happened and how you've changed or how you've grown in that situation. It could be emotionally, or it could be a situation where, something happened on the job and you didn't get the promotion, but then 3 months later, whoa, you got a better opportunity. So there's things that if you open your mind to look at the situation, you can always find something good or a lesson or a skill that you've developed.
I'm going to give you a scenario. You're not going to love it, but just go with it, which would be if you were sentenced to life in prison. And so you knew the remainder of your life, you're sitting in a jail cell, but the warden, call this nice. He says, Marilyn, I'm going to give you one book. And this is the only book you're going to have for the remainder of your life. What would be the book you bring with you and why that book?
That's really, really tough because I like a lot of books and I do reread books all the time. I devour self-improvement books. But I'd have to say the one that I enjoy reading regularly, and it always centers me, is The Four Agreements. And it's by Don Miguel Ruiz. And he talks about the four agreements, and the four agreements are, use your words well. And then also don't take anything personally. I think that would have been a great lesson that I should have shared with myself. And then don't make assumptions, ask questions. Don't assume you know what the other person is thinking and saying. And then always do your best because that's all you can do. Just focus on doing your best. And what's nice about that book is it's easy reading, it's small, and it just centers you. It gets you back on track and it gets you out of the emotional strife that happens in life where you're always worried about what other people are saying or that you're not good enough or maybe some conversation didn't go the way you wanted. I constantly am improving my communication with my husband. It's a focus.
That is amazing that you said the four agreements. I do enjoy that book very much. I like the first one the most. It's just to be impeccable with your word. It's to be flawless. It's to be like certain and not to take anything personal. It's such a good practice for business and how you conduct life because the way we show up makes such a difference. And I have to admire how you showed up and taken so much tragedy and made the best out of it and recognize what your sister did is giving you a chance to live an amazing life. And you've done phenomenal with it. So I commend you for that. What is advice that you want to give to our audience besides life lessons?
I think a key thing is and this goes back to what you hear a lot about. I do jump on a lot of webinars, and it always seems like the underlying lesson or advice they're giving is making money. And I think the key is that it's karma. If you focus on money, you're not going to get a lot back because people don't respond to that. So if you give with your intention of it coming from the heart and you're really genuine and helping people and offering services or gifts, whatever, I think that's key. Is that the money will come if you do it right, but I think the key lesson is to give and serve and not focus on the money.
Marilyn, as a coach, you probably have clients of yours that have been coached before or have considered other coaches. What is advice that you hear given that you want to warn people or help people to overcome because you're like, that's not good advice?
Well, I think a lot of it is people tend to coach from their own experiences. And what you have to understand is you're different. Everybody is different. And a good coach is going to work with you from your perspective. And they're not going to enforce their beliefs or their specific how-tos on you. So it's gonna be a development that they coach you through, or they help facilitate you to find the right answers. So there's a lot of people that have recipes out there that, hey, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to have a happy life. Well, that may not fit for you. So a coach that takes the time to really understand and facilitate with you, what is it that really makes you happy? What is it that really brings you joy? And how do you get more of that in your life?
I am curious, what does bring you the most joy?
So my family is number one. You know, like I say, my husband and I are very fortunate that we both love the outdoors. We love hiking and kayaking. He's in a little more into the adrenaline stuff, and I'm into observing and looking around and finding the um, the birds and the bees and stuff like that. But like I say, we're very, very fortunate that we do have a lot in common, which is very unusual because we are so opposite. It cracks us up. Um, but and then the other thing is, I have three wonderful kids, and I just every text I get from them is a joy, even if it's about their dog. You know, I think the other thing is just being present. And I had kids a little later in life, so I got to see the world again through their eyes. And as kids grow up, they see flowers and they see things that you just walk on by, and they love bugs. And so, you know, you really get to see things again through life. Um, and now I'm trying, my husband and I are both on that path of really being present and really enjoying what's going on. It's like, oh my gosh, look at that sunset. Well, how many sunsets do you see? I see one every night, but they're always different. It's like, oh, look at the colors on that one. Oh, you know, or get up a little earlier and watch the sunrise. It's just being present and really enjoying everything that's happening in your life.
So, since this entire podcast is about helping people live their best life, if you had only one piece of advice, right, and that was the only thing that somebody would remember about you, and they were like, oh, this is the one thing I'm going to remember about Marilyn that helped me live my best life, what would be that one piece of advice you'd leave with them?
There's a side to coaching that you have to be frank. And the reality is they need to own their own life. They need to take charge of their life. They cannot be happy if they don't take responsibility for their life. So you only have yourself to blame. If you're not happy, you only have yourself to blame. It's how you react to things. You can control your reactions, and you know, you can make changes in your life. So if that, as harsh as that might seem, you know, I would want them to take responsibility for their happiness.
I love that answer. What is the superpower you wish you had?
So for fun, I would want to fly. And it's kind of funny because I don't do well with heights. You know, so when I hike, I have to be careful, you know, with vertigo and stuff. But I just think it would be cool to fly. Now, there's also a practical side of me that says I would like to be able to heal people. I think that would get a little monotonous, but it would be such a blessing to be able to lay your hand on someone and say, let me take your pain away.
So, for those people who've heard you and would like to connect with you, what's the best way?
Okay, well, I'm on LinkedIn as Marilyn Robinson and listed as a life and business coach whiz. And then my website is marilynrobinson76.com. So that's Marilyn. Robinson is Robinson, 76.com.
Great. Thank you so much. Marilyn, it was a pleasure having you on our podcast. You shared some amazing golden nuggets about life lessons. And I'm just so amazed by how you made the most and the best of it. And you truly are an example of that and how you role model that kind of lifestyle. Thank you so much.